On today's episode of Andy and Ari on 3, it is a Megaboard Wednesday. That's right. We check the best of the message boards throughout the On 3 network. We've got a Lane Kiffin update from the OM Spirit message board. That's our Ole Miss site. Things in Oxford, they don't seem to be hopeful right now. They don't seem to be real hopeful that Lane Kiffin's staying. Florida and LSU message boards different. Ole Miss message boards, little pessimistic right now. Also, from our Miami message board, at Kane Sport, they are discussing what Hunter Yurachek, the College Football Playoff Selection Committee chair, said about Miami's comparison with Notre Dame. Are the Hurricanes cooked? Plus, from our Michigan message board, from the Wolverine, from the fort at the Wolverine, the winner of the rushing battle wins the game. An interesting fact about the Michigan-Ohio State game, if you look at these two teams, it makes the 10-point spread seem a little big. Plus, from our USC board, Lincoln Riley, the debate among USC fans. Is he succeeding? Is he not? Do you want him? Do you want to keep him? Do you want to get rid of him? They're actually having that discussion on the USC boards. We'll talk about that and more on today's Andy and Ari on 3 presented by BetMGM. We are proud to be sponsored by BetMGM. All the lines and totals we use come from BetMGM. Here is how you join, and you can get up to a $1,500 first bet offer. The way it works, you download that BetMGM app, you sign up using the code CFB, as in college football, CFB. You deposit at least $10 in your account. You place your first bet. If your first bet loses, you'll get up to a $1,500 bonus offer in bonus bets. So sign up, deposit at least $10, use the code CFB when you sign up. If your first bet loses, up to a $1,500 bonus bet offer. Now, if you're already signed up with BetMGM, there's a lot going on this week. So you got the Players Era Festival, college basketball tournament out in Las Vegas. Huge deal. Lots of great teams playing. It's going to be incredible week of college basketball in Vegas. So on November 25th and 26th, you've got a Players Era college basketball odds boost. Use that odds boost. Increase your potential payout for any bet on a Players Era game. Also, on November 27th and 28th, Thursday and Friday, you've got a college basketball odds boost token, so you can use that to increase your potential payout on any game. Of course, on Thanksgiving, you got a pro football odds boost. We're all going to be watching those games. But Friday, Saturday, all about college football. You got a college football odds boost token on Friday and Saturday, November 28th and 29th. Use that to increase your potential payout on any college football bet. Also, a college football parlay boost token on Friday, November 28th, Saturday, November 29th. Use that to increase your potential payout on a college football parlay. So go to BetMGM, download that app, get signed up, use the code CFB, and make this season one for the history books. Make it legendary with BetMGM. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers are not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. Call 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. Call 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa or 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code CFB and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. Welcome to Andy and Ari on 3, presented by BetMGM. It is a Megaboard Wednesday, and we have lots of great threads on all the message boards across the On3 network, but some of them are extra spicy. And Ari, I want to start at OM Spirit because, of course, we were probably going to be at OM Spirit, the Bengal Tiger, or Gators Online, one of the three places that is watching every move Lane Kiffin makes. This one started by Ben Garrett, Spirit Ben, over at OM Spirit, one of the guys who runs the site. And Ben sounds out on the Lane train. He sounds like he has stepped off the Lane train. The headline of the thread, this isn't 40 chess. Lane Kiffin isn't acting like a coach who plans to stay. And this is a story that Ben put up that's attached to a podcast he did. And it is a laundry list of stuff that has happened that makes you believe that when Lane Kiffin says something on Saturday, that it will be either LSU or Florida and not Ole Miss.
You know what I would love to do? Play 4D chess one day. I read that a lot. What does 4D chess look like? Just, you got to be like a...
Well, I mean, I think the knights can actually like cut your head off. So I don't know if I want to do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's Occam's razor, right? Not Pavlov's dog.
It is Occam's razor, yes. The most logical thing is probably the thing you should expect.
If you took away the fact that Lane Kiffin is a different cat, which we keep saying, the different cat with the quotes, and you just submitted like Ralph, a guy named Ralph. And then
okay, I thought you meant like Ralph Wiggum or something.
Or Ralph Russo. I don't know. Just a guy named Ralph. Or Steve, whatever. And Steve was doing all the things that Lane Kiffin is doing.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't give him the benefit of the doubt of being quirky or being cool or being different.
Are you saying that if we looked at Lane Kiffin's history and saw that it almost always ends badly, that we should probably guess that it will end badly for Ole Miss?
Yeah, I think the only reason why we're thinking that this could be some sort of, to steal Ben's verbiage, 4D chess is because Lane Kiffin is eccentric. But if you were to follow the same tea leaves of any coach, even if you excuse his entire history as a coach, the breadcrumbs are leading you right to the result. Now, I don't know if that's going to Florida or if that's going to LSU, but the actual actions that he is illustrating are very clear that he is leaving to me. Now, I'm not going to say that he is, because again, we can go back to the fact that he is strange. He is a troll. He likes to mess with people. He likes to be a showman. But those are the only things that you can lay your hat on and say, hey, this is how it could work out well for Ole Miss. But there's an overwhelming amount of circumstantial evidence that point to his departure.
This week's SEC Shorts was especially hilarious. They don't usually miss on SEC Shorts, but it was basically a Lane Kiffin X support group. So it was Tennessee, it was USC, it was the Raiders, and the guy from the Raiders was like, I don't even know why I'm here.
Well, the thing that's so interesting about the support group thing, too, is that, Tennessee was pissed. He was there for a short amount of time, and they were excited about the future, but it's not like he left anybody as successful as he's been at Ole Miss. That's the thing. Right. Like, he's leaving on the verge of a playoff berth.
If he's leaving.
I don't even remember. I was like 10 years old when he left Tennessee. What was their record his first year? Didn't they lose a bunch of games that year?
Yeah, they were about 500. But they almost beat Alabama. They played Florida fairly close. They're 7-6. They weren't bad.
But the Tennessee reaction was more about loyalty and being evolved for life than it was about the production that he had on the team.
And the thing was, it made sense because the USC job opened, and that was clearly the job he wanted. So it wasn't surprising when USC came after him that he took the job. But if it was only surprising to Tennessee fans who couldn't believe anybody would ever leave Tennessee.
So the question, I guess I'll go back to with the wanting the USC job is at the time, you would know this because you were further along in your career. I was a very young reporter at this time. But what was the thing about the USC job that drew Lane Kiffin there? Was it the lights, the glitz, the glamour, the LA of it? Was it the Reggie?
No, he'd been the OC there.
I know, but
they was just trying to continue Pete Carroll.
He wanted to be Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
So if you think about wanting to be something or wanting to be in that type of environment, if that is still a part of him, I could see why Florida or LSU would be more attractive. Now, none of those places are near a sexy beach. Now, Florida's a few hour drive away. No offense to your home. I know you can get in the car and be in some pretty nice beaches, but it's not like we're in LA.
Right. It's not.
So, like, I'm just trying to read the tea leaves of, like, what does he want if he won't tell us? And I think my conclusion of what Lane Kiffin wants is to have the best possible job that you can have from a notoriety standpoint while simultaneously checking the box of being able to win a national title there, which comes with the territory of that. So I don't know if Ole Miss is the final chapter, to borrow his, his verbiage and his tweets and all that stuff. But it doesn't add up to me. Like, a return isn't adding up to me. And if he does return, then it'll be like, oh, but that's Lane Kiffin. But in terms of what
that's
we have,
Lane.
But what do we have? If you're looking for us for answers, what am I going to tell these people?
So I'm looking at this thread, and it's interesting because it feels like a lot of the Ole Miss fans have gone through the stages of grief already. And so, like, Dental Rebel here says, personally, I'd be happy if he left. I've said and continue to say he's fool's gold. Feel free to quote me. What does he want? He spit the bit last year, barely beat Kentucky, LSU, and Washington State. If, and that's a big if, he wins it all, he will be lucky. He's hated by multiple fan bases now. Also, if he leaves, he's not winning it all at Ole Miss anyway. He'd have to win it all somewhere else. And I think part of this is that I think Lane Kiffin was surprised at the idea that Ole Miss wouldn't let him coach the playoff if he left. I think he went into all this thinking, oh, I might take another job, but it's cool. I'm still going to coach the playoff here.
Yeah. But it also doesn't strike me as a good faith attempt to keep somebody, because if I were Lane Kiffin and I were told that would make me want to leave. That doesn't make me want to stay.
They're not trying, but what if they're not trying to make him stay? What if he's already told them he's leaving?
Then it doesn't matter how he feels about it.
Yeah. What's amazing to me is that he was surprised by this when he is literally the only person who ever did I'm going to be a head coach. I'm a coordinator right now. I'm going to be the coordinator through the playoff, and then I'll become the head coach in the new place. He's the only one who ever got fired in the middle of that. The only one.
The coach that fired him also said it's not his fault and it's a calendar issue on TV this weekend.
Yeah.
Which was kind of bizarre to me.
Yeah. Was it a calendar issue then, Nick? I don't think so.
So, here's the one thing I'm also going to say.
Uh-huh.
If you are Florida or you are LSU and you're putting all this money on the table, zoom up 5 years from now, 7 years from now. Sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. If someone has done this to other people, they'll do it to you.
Yeah. If you met your wife because she was cheating on her husband, and then she cheats on you, different stakes, obviously.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin's not doing anything sinister. But if this is his MO, what's going to happen when the Arizona Cardinals call him in 3 years? You saw the picture of Cliff Kingsbury in his living room? You know, you
want to punish the man? I mean, that's if Ole Miss fans are mad, that's how you punish him. He takes the Arizona Cardinals job in 5 years.
Why would that punish them?
No, it punishes Lane.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the Arizona Cardinals would be an attractive job.
Just because you want to live in Scottsdale in a mansion.
I saw the picture. If you didn't see the picture of Cliff Kingsbury, search.
I've seen the picture.
Okay, yeah, that's enough for me.
He's gonna have a nice house wherever he lives. He's rich.
I've been to Gainesville a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that house exists in Gainesville. Is there a mountain anywhere near you?
There are no mountains in Gainesville. There are lots of alligators.
I like Gainesville. It's a nice town. I do.
I mean, it's no Norman, Oklahoma, or Los Angeles.
Yeah. There's a Wawa there. There's a lot of Wawas there.
There's like 6 Wawas here.
I went to 3 of them the last time I was there.
Though they're all out of the gobbler right now. The gobbler supplies have been gobbled up.
I went to the Wawa. What's the main drag on Florida's university? There's a Wawa on
University Avenue.
Yeah.
Archer, well, no, you went to one on Archer Road. Yeah.
Yeah. There, I parallel parked for Wawa, and let me tell you, I don't parallel park for anything but Wawa. I was looking for something specific, and they didn't.
Oh, you went to the one on University across from campus. That's dedication right there.
It was on the way. It was the closest one on the way back to your house from the airport.
I got you. So we will see what happens to Lane, whether he's searching for Wawas in Gainesville or whether he's in Baton Rouge doing his coach's show at TJ Ribs or staying at Ole Miss. But staying at Ole Miss feels far less likely at this point.
It sure does, bud.
So,
sure does.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe
it doesn't make Friday any less compelling because, listen, he'll come back and it'll be an awesome story, or he'll leave and it'll be a train wreck. Either way, it's going to
be crazy.
Cinema.
Exactly. Exactly. Absolute cinema. Yes. Speaking of cinema, before we started recording, I can see you, you can see me in this program that we use to stream the show. And I pop on and all I hear is Ari just furiously typing. And Ari, can you type a little bit just so the people know how that sounds? Type for us. You hear that? That's not a typewriter. That's his laptop. That poor laptop is just getting abused.
I don't know if it's the stubby fingers. I was actually typing. I've got some columns in the hopper.
Well, that's the thing. You were especially fired up, and that's why. So I went to the Kane Sport message board because I knew you were fired up about the Miami thing and the Notre Dame thing and what Hunter Yurachek said about it in the college football playoff ranking reveal on Tuesday night. Hunter Yurachek, he talks to Reese Davis and he does a teleconference with reporters. And so I immediately went to Kane Sport, our Miami site, and on Gary Furman's War Room, the main board, Matt Shodell, the managing editor of Kane Sport, posted a thread. More from the committee on how they compared Miami and Notre Dame. And it's a quote. Ask how the system works when comparing Miami and Notre Dame. Yurachek said, there are groupings of teams compared throughout the rankings. Notre Dame and Miami, you have the head-to-head, but that's only one data point. The committee felt, as you watch Notre Dame on film, watch their games throughout the year, they've been consistent. Even in the early season games, they lost by 3 and 1 point to Miami and Texas A&M. Miami, it appears they're starting to look like the team that started 5-0. So we compare a number of things looking at teams that are closely ranked together. You have some teams between Miami and Notre Dame, such as Alabama, BYU, that we are also comparing to Miami as well. Ari, you took that to mean they are now comparing Miami and Notre Dame head-to-head, and they still don't think Miami needs to be ahead of Notre Dame.
I didn't take that to mean it's what he said, right? Like, am I misunderstanding that?
Well, and the rankings say what they say too.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm misinterpreting that.
Miami is now number 12, but that's still 3 spots below Notre Dame.
I slept with my contacts last night, and my eyes are a little bit bloodshot. I might pop a vessel here, Andy.
The floor is yours.
I'm just going to ask you a straight up question before I start cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know what's going to happen because Miami still has a ranked opponent to play. So if you beat that ranked opponent, I don't know what happens a week from now. We don't know what's going to happen on Friday. But if we get to the end of the road here, and this is the result, to me, that is the single biggest injustice in the history of the college football rankings. Now, you might jump out and say, Florida State and Alabama. There's a article framed up on my wall here from the New York Times, front page of the sports section, and I'm boasting. Yes, I am. Committee reveals ugly truth. This was always a beauty contest, a column written by me on how they got that wrong. But the difference between that situation and this situation is that if they would have taken Florida State, then that might have also been the wrong decision. In the other way, there was no winning in that situation. That was an impossible situation with 4 spots and 5 teams that were worthy. This is the first time that I can remember them making a decision, comparing the teams, using all the metrics and the data and the results of the games, and flat out getting it wrong. Is there any other instance? And you tell me, save me for me, because I've got Notre Dame fans firing me up. They think I'm upset about Notre Dame getting in. Let me say this. Notre Dame's a very good team who could make a run. This isn't about whether or not I think they're good. They're clearly good. But is there another instance in the 10 years or 11 years prior to this where they had a decision to make with the results of the games and made the wrong one? And do you think that I'm right about this?
I do think you're right about this, because I think if Notre Dame had Alabama's wins or Georgia's wins, then we're not having a discussion about this. They would have enough quality wins that their resumes would be appreciably different.
And
But
that's the part
they
that I
won't
think people
have those
aren't
quality wins.
understanding.
They have 2 quality losses.
The best thing about Notre Dame's resume, outside of the win over USC, which remains 17.
Right. And Miami has a better best win than Notre Dame does, because Miami beat Notre Dame.
But the best thing that they did outside of that was lose close games.
Right.
And that's the first time ever. And like, I know the committee operates differently. I do. I get it. Every year there's new people, new ways of looking at it. Obviously, they introduced new data metrics into the equation this year that the SEC stumped for during the offseason. I get all that. I also get that the computers love Notre Dame. But is it a coincidence that Notre Dame looks much better and seems to be humming at the right time because they're playing a schedule filled with drivel? I mean, if you think about some of their wins, I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking about Boston College. We're talking about Purdue, Arkansas, Syracuse. These are bad teams. They're not like not good. They're bad teams. Of course they're going to get better. Of course they're going to look awesome. Of course they're going to pass the eye test. I cannot for the life, and if you think that like the whole deal is just Miami beat Notre Dame and that's it, it's not just that. They've got comparable resumes, and the teams that Miami lost to aren't even that bad. One's ranked in the top 21, and the other one has been ranked all year. It's not like they lost to Florida State. They lost to teams that are in the top 35.
I'm going to play devil's advocate, though.
Please.
Be honest. If Miami and Notre Dame played today on a neutral site, who would you pick to win the game?
I would pick Notre Dame to win the game.
And that is what Notre Dame fans are going to say, and that is what anybody else who agrees with this decision
now, let me ask
is
you
going to say.
What's my record against the spread this year?
It's really bad.
Is it 30 games below 500? Who gives a shit what I think? Who gives a shit what you think?
But the thing is, if you asked me, who has a good record against the spread this year, I would say the same thing. I would pick Notre Dame.
Is 65, 52, and 3 good enough to make a decision based on what you think rather than the data?
It's a hell of a lot better than yours.
It's a great record. You're doing great. I'm not coming down on you.
No, but I'm saying if you took 100 people who watch lots of college football, who've watched who just morning, noon, night, every Saturday watch every game, and you said, who wins if Miami and Notre Dame play on a neutral field right now? How many of them are going to tell you Miami wins?
A lot of them. I don't know.
Nope.
90?
No, 90% of them will say that Notre Dame wins.
Yeah. You know where we're going on Friday?
We are going to Detroit, to the MGM
You ever been
Grand.
to this casino we're staying at? You ever been inside or looked at it from the outside?
I'm not.
Beautiful structure. I think it's close to a Vegas vibe as you can get outside of Vegas. Beautiful structure, beautiful company, beautiful building. You think that they made that beautiful building because everybody in the public in their notions are correct all the time? I
get what you're saying. I'm trying to explain to you why what we think is elementary is more complicated. Because I know what you're saying, and I understand because I agree with you.
And the reason why
they played a game, their resumes are very similar, and you're taking the team that lost and putting it ahead of the team that won, which doesn't make sense.
And if your reasoning for that is what you're saying, then you're saying what we think will happen in the future, which isn't part of the criteria or what they're supposed to be doing.
It's the hypothetical. It's the hypothetical wins that we always joke about when SEC honks are saying this team would be better than this team would be. All these SEC teams would be better. It's just not an SEC team this time.
This is the first time in 11 years of covering this that I feel like a team is being personally wronged by the committee. And I don't say
what
that
makes
lightly.
you so mad, I think, is that it is now dawned on you. And I've been trying to tell you this for weeks. They're not putting Miami ahead of Notre Dame. They're not.
It makes me mad because I feel like we are all driving out on the street and somebody erased the markers on the road. That's what I feel like. I feel like what we usually have come to expect and how the system works and how we've navigated that.
We think the games need to matter, and I get it, because the part I don't like about this is you essentially could have just simulated the entire season on your PlayStation. What the hell was the point of playing the game in the first place?
And I made the joke before, but if I were Miami, I said this to you before the show started, I wouldn't even play next year. I would cancel it.
But they can't do that because it's part of the ACC agreement with Notre Dame.
No,
if they were in a different conference, yes, they could cancel the Notre Dame game.
I would cancel,
but they can't do that.
And I understand that there are other things that are gained by playing Notre Dame, obviously. And then here's the point too that a lot of people are making. If Miami would have played Rice instead of Notre Dame in week 1, would Miami be in the conversation? Would they be at number 18 or 19? And you're like waving your head no, like you're assuming it as if Utah is some sort of juggernaut that's been beating the shit out of good teams. Like there are other teams that have played nobody right next to them. So what makes you shake your head no?
If they played Rice instead of Notre Dame, they would be below. With the wins they have, they would be below Utah, Vanderbilt, Michigan. They might be ahead of Texas.
Yeah. So they'd be 4 spots.
So they'd be far away from Notre Dame. They wouldn't be anywhere near Notre Dame.
No, I know. So their entire schedule is propped up by Notre Dame, whose entire schedule is propped up by bad losses. That's wild.
No, by good losses.
Sorry, good losses. Sorry. My bad.
But yes, this is the thing that used to drive people crazy. And I find it interesting because it's all the stuff that people use to criticize the SEC teams and think the SEC wants to win all these hypothetical matchups. And again, I'm telling you right now, this is the thing the SEC and the Big Ten push for to get more of their teams in, and it is helping Notre Dame. Now, I don't think it's screwing an SEC or a Big Ten team, though it could ultimately, depending on what happens with Alabama and Michigan. But I do find it somewhat funny that they pushed for an insistence on these predictive rankings. They're getting it, and it didn't help any of their teams. It's helping Notre Dame.
Yeah. I wouldn't be nearly as wound up about this if like Miami beat Bama. No, sorry. I'm trying to think of a team that's not ahead of them that would have given them a lot of credit. Like if Miami beat Michigan or something. And that, because I still think that if Miami would have beaten Michigan, they're number 1, they'd have the same record with a better win than Notre Dame. Like the head-to-head thing is what drives me insane because we're supposed to be parsing through what would happen if these two teams played while ignoring what happened when these two teams played. It's too low-hanging fruit to me. And I understand the arguments. Well, one team's gotten better as the year went on. Well, one team has progressively played worse teams as the year's gone on. And their entire strength of schedule metrics are propped up by the games they lost. It's insane. It's truly insane. And I know that I've been pounding the table about this for a month. And I thought this past month that as the season progressed and results came in, that the committee would do the right thing at the end. And if what we heard tonight from the chair is how they're going to do this in 2 weeks, then they're just picking who they think is better. And who they think is better means nothing to me because I don't think anyone on that committee would be a 60% gambler.
I'm looking at the Sagarin ratings right now. So this is not one of the ESPN ones, but this is something that like the BCS computers would have used. I'm looking at Jeff Sagarin's schedule strength ratings. Who do you think has the higher strength of schedule, Notre Dame or Miami?
I would guess. I don't know the answer to that right now. I would guess Notre Dame.
It's Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That's Notre Dame's is 27th, Miami's is 38th.
It's not a flex to have a stronger schedule if the teams that are boasting your schedule are the ones that beat you. It doesn't do anything for me.
I'm just telling you, I don't think the rest of Notre Dame's schedule is as weak as you are saying it is.
Navy looks like a pretty good win.
Navy's a pretty good win.
Purdue, Arkansas,
Pitt's going to be a pretty good win.
Yeah.
We'll see about NC State if they can finish strong.
But Pitt,
the Arkansas thing's interesting to me because Notre Dame crushed Arkansas, right?
Yeah, the winless SEC.
What happened when Texas A&M played Arkansas?
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
It was a close game.
Okay.
So the games that they played against common opponents matter, but the games that they played against the team that they're leaving out doesn't.
Oh, I know. Look,
okay.
I told you I'm on your side on this.
No, I know, but I'm not arguing.
But I feel like I have to help the other people who are watching and listening.
Yeah, and I appreciate
and represent their viewpoint here.
But when I respond to you that way, I'm not attacking Andy. I'm attacking the listener.
Yeah.
Things to a steering wheel. Because it's like, don't tell me about common opponents in previous matchups. The previous matchup from the beginning of when did they play them? In September? That doesn't count.
But it's so funny with these predictive things. So I mentioned Sagarin and the schedule strength. Do you know where Notre Dame is ranked just overall in the Sagarin rankings?
9, 8,
2.
Wild.
Right behind Ohio State.
I don't think that data should take precedent over the information that we have, period. Whether it's Notre Dame, Ohio State.
You don't think data should take precedent over information?
Over the results of the games, I should say.
Okay. it's
like we have all these high-tech ways of telling you who would win games and how good they are, but the games that actually happened are nothing.
Well, this is the Skynet conversation we were having the other day.
AI will kill us.
The computers are great until they rise up and kill us.
And by the way, I'm going to finish this off because I just railed on Notre Dame for 20 minutes. Best college campus, I think, most unique college campus in the country. Beautiful uniforms. Think you should wear green more. I'm not sucking up. Think you should wear green more. I love those jerseys. Think you're really good. Think you could win the national title this year. I still think all those things. It's not a Notre Dame sucks conversation. It is a process conversation. I want to be clear. Right. I am upset about the process.
It does not matter what teams these are. It could be any two teams in this identical situation. Yes.
It could be Ohio State and Michigan. And if Ohio State were Miami, I would be saying the same thing about Ohio State or vice versa. It's not Notre Dame. It is process. Say it with me again. It's not Notre Dame. It's process.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Ohio State and Michigan because our next message board thread.
I'm good at segues too.
You are. That was brilliant. Our next message board thread is from the Wolverine, from the Fort. The winner of the rushing battle wins the game. This is from SoCal for Mish. And SoCal for Mish says, we won't lose that battle Saturday. If Ohio State wins, it's via the air and it breaks tendency. I got to admit, Ari, this put me in a blender. This absolutely put me in a blender. Because I went back and I was like, okay, when is the last time the team with fewer rushing yards won the game? Because if we look at these two teams this year and we say, okay, what happens if they play their normal games? Michigan's probably going to outrush Ohio State in this game.
Yeah.
So I looked it up. Do you know the last time the team that did not have more rushing yards won the game?
I think that this came up last year because everybody was like, why is Ohio State trying to fit around a square peg into a round hole and trying to win the rushing battle? Then this stat came up. Has it been like 40 years or something?
Not 40, but it's been 25 or 24. It was 2000. 2000.
Yeah.
Was the last time. So the streak started with the 2001 game. And obviously they didn't play in 2020. But every year the team that has rushed for more yards has won the game since 2000 or since 2001. It's interesting to me because I think the guy who posted the thread is right. It will take a breaking of tendency in this rivalry for Ohio State to win this game. Because I do think they're going to throw for more than Michigan. I'm not sure they're going to be able to run for more. Maybe they are. Maybe Ohio State's defense is so good that Michigan won't really be able to run the ball. But last year, Michigan outrushed Ohio State 172-77.
Mm-hmm.
And that had a lot to do with how the game went.
Yeah, because Ohio State kept trying to run it and they couldn't.
Right. And so this plays into what we've been talking about. When we picked the game, you and I both said we think Ryan Day has overcome whatever mental block he had that made him think he has to win the game the way Michigan plays it.
I agree. I wrote about this today, Andy. And first of all, let me just ask you real quick. Do you think that Ohio State has to outrush Michigan because of this streak to win the game on Saturday?
I would say no, but now that I know how far back it goes, I'm a little worried.
Yeah. I wonder if the tendency is broken. Can Ryan Day, here's an excerpt from the story that will probably run on Friday, but I filed it today. I just want to read it to you. Can Ryan Day let go of everything from the past now that he has a championship ring on his finger? Can he relax? Can he take his superior roster, go up to Ann Arbor and get his team to play loose? Can he get them to play like they played in the Rose Bowl? Can he let go of having to be tougher than Michigan? Can Ohio State play Ohio State football and air it out to its freakishly talented receivers, or is it going to get dragged into a Michigan game on a cold day in Ann Arbor? Can Ryan Day, gulp, have any fun? That's the question to me. It's not whether or not Ohio State is going to be able to outrush Michigan. It's whether or not Ohio State will actually play the game that they want to play it for once. Michigan has dictated the last 4 years how the game would be played.
Yeah.
And
well,
when
and
Ohio
the thing
State
about the rushing yards, like a lot of times you say you run to win, but a lot of teams run because they're winning. Like they get a lead and they carry, they run the ball a lot more to run the clock. So that might be some of these games. That might be the reason.
And you also have to take into account, too, that when Urban Meyer was Ohio State's coach and they were dominating the rivalry, which is a large chunk of the 20, it was a third of the 20-year stat period, they were a run-first team that ran the spread. I mean, they had running quarterbacks. Braxton Miller would run for 80-yard touchdowns. I mean, they had quarterbacks and running backs that ran all over the place. And then you go back to the Jim Tressel era.
After you made Ezekiel Elliott so mad with your question after the Michigan State game, the next week they played Michigan. Do you recall what the rushing numbers were in that game?
Didn't Ohio State put up like 370 yards rushing the next game?
Ohio State outrushed Michigan 369-57 in the 2015 game.
And then didn't they rush for like 350 yards in the bowl game against Notre Dame later too?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they just mauled people. Yeah.
Yeah. I asked Ezekiel Elliott after the Michigan State game if he thinks he should have carried the ball more, and he snapped. And then I ran, and that was the last, having to run 5 miles in Miami at the national title game. That was the last time I think I ran without stopping. I ran all the way down, the stairs, down across the field, up the stairs, and I left the press conference when he said that.
You had gold. You had to.
Yeah. And that was, when I got upstairs, I almost fainted. I was so out of breath because there were stairs involved. Yeah, so very interesting stat, very interesting tendency. But if you go look at the way the game is played for the majority of the last 20 years, there's been a huge departure from the way Ohio State played. Ohio State wasn't a finesse pass first team under Urban Meyer. You might think that because they ran the spread, but this is
the only game I can think of where they really just ripped them apart with the passing game was 2018. Urban's last game in the rivalry. That was when Don Brown just insisted on sitting in the same coverage, and they just hit him with crossing route after crossing route.
Yeah. And then, like you said, at the end of the game, too, a lot of times when the dam breaks, it's the running back going up the middle for 60 yards when the game's already in hand.
Well, that's certainly how Michigan has won some of the games in this streak.
For sure. And how many of Michigan's rushing yards last year happened on the final 2 drives? Was it most of them?
Yeah, probably. I have to look it up.
I mean, Mullings' run was like 35 or 40 yards, if I remember correctly. Which is
because they didn't crush them in the rushing stats last year.
I don't think that Ohio State has to outrush them to win. I think that they should outthrow them by a lot and win. That's what they should have done last year.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, maybe it's time in that rivalry that stat matters less. Maybe you need to render it less important. If you're Ryan.
Yeah. But it's something, it's an interesting stat and something to track for sure.
It is because if you look at these two teams and the way they've played all year, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Michigan will rush for more yards than Ohio State, which leads you to believe that it could be closer.
Yeah. Or if Ohio State's defense is what it's supposed to be, Ohio State rushes for 80 yards and Michigan rushes for 73, and then that's it.
I think that's also possible. I think it's possible Ohio State's defense plays so well that Michigan has a just absolutely tiny number.
I mean, you have to force Michigan to pass. Last year, Michigan was able to exist in a close game without ever having to throw the ball because there was never – but if Ohio State gets up by 10 points, you got to change a little bit. So – yeah, no, but I'm so psyched, Andy. It's one of the best games in college football, but also so interesting. And it'll be interesting to see how the stats break out at the end, because that'll be something that we'll have to revisit on the show on Saturday night.
Absolutely. Because we're either going to see history repeat, and I think if we do see history repeat, then we're going to have a much closer game than we're predicting, or we're going to see a break in tendency, in which case you'll see a break of the streak too, which I think is all very interesting. Let us move out west now, but also in the Big Ten. We'll stay in the Big Ten, but go out west. She loves Jordan on the We Are SC message board on Gary P's Trojan Huddle. The title of the thread is just Lincoln Riley. And it asks, for the people complaining that we should fire Lincoln, who's a better realistic option? Serious answers only. Make Saban and Urban say no are not valid answers. And this is it's interesting because this is a legitimate discussion in the USC fan base about Lincoln Riley. And I think they're split on how they feel about him. And it's interesting also because you've seen his name pop up in the rumors on some other message boards, and his agency's been pushing him out there with some of these openings. But I don't think any of these SEC openings are interested in him. I don't think Penn State would be interested in him. And I think that part's interesting too, because if he was doing the job he was supposed to be at USC, then everybody'd be interested.
Andy, I got to tell you, I despise this question. And it's not specifically to USC's post. It's anytime anyone asks this question. You want to know why? Because if you ask that question, you're apologizing for not meeting your standard and you're too scared to go try to demand it from somebody else.
Right.
Just because somebody can't sit there and give you a rational name that could do better doesn't mean that Mike Elko isn't out there somewhere that can do better. Like that. Like
somebody gave an interesting name. Can I give you the name that Upper Shelf 21 threw almost immediately?
Yeah,
Lane Kiffin. That got a good laugh from the folks on the board.
Andy, you know what this reminds me of? Back in 2020, going back to our last question, and it's relevant to this question. The discourse around Michigan was, how are you going to fire Jim Harbaugh? You're never going to be able to find somebody better. And I tweeted this. This is a tweet that people send me all the time. Mm-hmm. November 7th of 2020, I wrote, many think Michigan can't do better than Jim Harbaugh. In no order, coaches I think would improve the program for where it is right now. Here's my list of the 10 I listed then. Number 1, Brent Venables. Aging a little bit better.
Aging better, yes.
Number 2, Luke Fickell, aging very badly.
But better in the last few weeks.
And I want you and the listeners to transform yourself back to 2020. Like this.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Number 3, Matt Campbell.
I still think he could be very good in the Big Ten.
Number 4, Jeff Hafley.
Also could be, I mean, Jeff Hafley's going to be an NFL head coach very soon.
Number 5, Mark Stoops. Number 7, PJ Fleck. Number 8, Chris Peterson.
Yes.
Number 9, Jason Candle.
Would love to see him get a shot at some point in one of these.
And number 10, the one that laughs me out of the barrel, Mel Tucker. Now,
oh man,
that tweet aged poorly for a variety of reasons. One is that the person who was in charge won a national title, like 2 years later or 3 years later. But it does not matter if you cannot name the coach. You want to know who
there
have a
are
hard time?
like Ryan 784 said Kenny Dillingham. Forgive me M3 or forgive me said Kalen DeBoer. Marcus Freeman said I would even make Danton Lynn the head coach if he would make a more physical practice than Lincoln Riley. Danton Lynn's the defensive coordinator.
How much does it cost roughly to hire a coach search firm?
Ooh, I'm not sure what they're charging these. It used to be like $250,000, but I think it might be more now.
It's now in the millions, I think. And you want Ron from El Segundo to answer this question? Like, what are we doing? Like,
but some of these answers are good. Like, I don't think you get Kalen DeBoer away from Alabama, but you probably could get Kenny Dillingham.
And I'm not belittling people because my response to this wouldn't be any better than theirs. What I'm saying is if a coach is not living up to the expectation, then your fear of not finding anybody better is baseless and wrong, because you could give somebody an opportunity that hasn't proven himself yet that would get those results. So the question shouldn't be, well, who are we going to get? The question is, are we getting what we deserve? And I think that who we're going to get is a loser mentality. But
I find it interesting because I was on the Auburn boards lurking around, and they're like, oh, Lincoln Riley sounds like he's in the mix for some of these things. How come we're not talking to Lincoln Riley? I'm like, would you want Lincoln Riley at Auburn?
Like, you have to zoom out a little bit on the season, because now it's over.
Yeah,
they beat UCLA. They're 9-3.
Yeah, that's good.
They were better than we. On one hand, they're better than we hoped they would be, or we thought they would be. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, 9-3 at year 4 isn't successful. So which person are you? Are you, let's attach ourselves to the most recent thing and say, hey, there's hope, we're headed in the right direction? Or do you say, why do we need 5 years of this to know we're not getting what we deserve?
Well, you want an interesting stat?
Sure. I love stats.
Through 51 games as the USC head coach, Lincoln Riley is 34-17. Would you care to guess at what Clay Helton's record was through his first 51 games?
33-17. Isn't it identical?
34-17.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not, again, I hate stats because you can. Clay Helton also didn't play in the Big Ten. It's just it's a little bit, not everything is 50-50 on those types of things, because you can mold stats to say what you want them to say. But all I'll say is 666 winning percentage.
Right.
Is that what you paid for? And how is this a big enough sample size to admit that it's not what you paid for? And it doesn't mean they should go fire him right now. I don't think they're in a financial position to fire him.
Mm-hmm. But they're not.
You saying we can't fire him because that's the best we can do is loser shit.
Yeah.
To me.
Now, you want to know why they're really worried, Ari? You know what the real concern is with USC fans? Because I've been saying, hey, look, this is acceptable improvement. You've got the number 1 recruiting class. You should feel okay right now. I was the one who was very down on him the last 2 years. I'm actually coming back around.
That's year two talking points, not year 4.
Okay. Well, here's where the USC fans have pushed back on me when I have said, hey, guys, I think he's coming around. You're okay. So when I say that, they say, have you looked at our 2026 schedule? Let me throw you the Big Ten schedule for USC. We don't know dates yet, but we do know who they play home and away. The home games: Maryland, Ohio State, Oregon, and Washington.
And Penn State, if I'm not mistaken. They play Penn State too.
No, that's a road game.
Oh, that's the home. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yep.
Road games: Indiana, Penn State, Rutgers, Wisconsin, and UCLA. Presumably, they will also play Notre Dame.
It's wild.
That is a hard schedule, ladies and gentlemen. That is difficult. That is even if you are a playoff quality team, you still may only go 8-4 against that schedule.
Yeah. And of course, like we did with Oklahoma this year, we'll contextualize that, Of course. And it's possible that Indiana's not very good, or Wisconsin's not very good, or, Ohio State.
I'm not expecting Wisconsin to be very good. Yeah. If Wisconsin's good, it's even harder.
Yeah. But I mean, it's how schedules go on November of the previous year. It looks daunting,
Right.
and then teams fall apart.
Sure.
I don't know, but what you're saying is true. And like, what are you? If you're a USC fan, are you like what's Lincoln Riley going into next year? Like, I'm trying to like envision July podcasts with you, and like we always have to have the conversations about hot seats or who's in most important danger. Like, where is Lincoln Riley?
I think the USC fans who've been defending him to me when I've criticized him over the years, I think they're done defending him. I've noticed that our tones have reversed, not yours and mine, but mine and theirs have reversed in the last during this season. Because I thought after they lost to Illinois, same old, same old. I actually appreciated how they bounced back. I thought the way they beat Michigan was awesome. I thought the way they beat Iowa was awesome. I actually think they're on the right track. But I think the USC fans are looking at this and going, yeah, but he's still not going to make the playoff next year.
Is he on the hot seat though? Like, where are we at financially halfway through the contract, assuming it's fully guaranteed?
Listen, it's super expensive any way you slice it. You're still looking at probably in the 40-ish millions, maybe the 50-ish millions.
I think it's a blanket statement to say they haven't gotten enough. The direction is always fun. It's a fun thing to grab onto in year 2. Going into year 5 with that schedule, do you like? Or are they going to turn into Indiana overnight?
They've got the recruiting class coming in, but again, those are freshmen. So unless you're planning on really bolstering that with transfer portal, which they could, I mean, in this era, you can.
Yeah,
because they hired Chad Bowden, the new GM from Notre Dame. And he's been there, for most of this recruiting cycle. So perhaps with a full transfer portal cycle and another, the end of this recruiting cycle, and he gets those freshmen in, maybe they are significantly better.
Is Jaden Maiava going pro?
That's a good question. He could. He doesn't have to. He certainly doesn't have to.
But in your mind, has he played? I think he's played well enough to go pro.
He has.
And Mekhi Lemon's gone, right?
Yeah.
So the 2 best players could be gone.
But I trust Lincoln Riley to go find a quarterback.
He did prove with the Maiava stuff that he still got that. You have to give him.
Yeah, Maiava this is his 4th year in college. So given the relative weakness of the quarterback class, I think there's a chance that the strapping 6'4", 230-pound dude who had a really good season might go to the NFL.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Good question. Great conversation. But PSA to everybody out there, if you root for a team.
It's one of those things that, I that question a year ago would have gotten just shredded by the other folks on the board. And this time it turned into a very legitimate discussion with strong opinions on both sides. And I think that's a good gauge of where the fan base is right now.
PSA, though, to all fans out there. Doesn't matter who your team is or who you root for, where you live, what your income level is, or if you're a man or a woman. If you root for a college football team and you believe that the coach that's currently in place has not done enough, you don't have to be afraid of the unknown and say, we have to keep this person because we're trapped. You're not in a loveless marriage. You're not in a position where if you leave your spouse, you have no money and nowhere to go.
I think Florida State fans feel like they're in a loveless marriage right now.
Yeah. Well, that's an abusive marriage. That's different. You're not trapped.
Oh my goodness.
Don't ever say we're not getting what we deserve. I'm not going to go test the waters because
it's don't ever say we don't deserve better.
Yeah, it's just like a husband or a wife who is mistreated by their spouse who doesn't leave that person because they're afraid of the fish in the sea aren't as good as what they're already getting. And if you're in that situation in your relationship, I would suggest you leave. You're good enough for somebody out there.
Except the leaving part entails giving that person over $50 million.
Have you? Yeah. I don't know a lot of people who were in like awful marriages who like leave those marriages and then 2 years later go, God damn it, I wish I still had 50% of my money. I think that the worst place a human being could possibly be is in a marriage that's not happy. I can't think of a worse prison than that.
Well, I'm glad you're in a happy one. I'm in a happy one.
For now, we're only
some USC fans still in a happy one. So we'll hopefully they'll convince the other ones that it's still going to be happy. All right, one more question. And it is a question from the Auburn Sports message board. So this is from AU Germ. What happens if DJ wins the Iron Bowl? DJ Durkin is the interim coach at Auburn. What happens if he wins the Iron Bowl, Ari?
I asked you this.
It's a great question. The scuttlebutt has been that Auburn's administration would like it if DJ Durkin is kept by whoever they hire. And I think part of that is to keep some continuity where you could keep some guys on, from this roster who would want to stay, who would appreciate a little bit of continuity from the old staff. The thing is, DJ is the defensive coordinator. We think John Sumrall from Tulane is the lead candidate. Here's the other piece of this. What if John Sumrall makes the playoff with Tulane? This is not a Lane Kiffin situation. You can be the head coach at Tulane and be the coach in waiting at Auburn and recruit for Auburn while still coaching Tulane in the playoff. So, but if you're a defensive guy like John Sumrall, do you want somebody saying, here's your defensive coordinator, you must keep him? That is a tough negotiating point.
DJ Durkin is beloved right now, right? The people at Auburn love him, right?
They do. He's done, and he's done a good job as the DC. And here's what makes this even more interesting, Ari. By the time the Iron Bowl kicks off, we may know what Lane Kiffin's doing. If Lane Kiffin doesn't go back to Ole Miss, do you know who one of the top candidates at Ole Miss would be?
Is it DJ Durkin?
It's John Sumrall.
I love not being able to put little puzzle pieces together like I'm a 5-year-old. You got to push it to me. It's and John Sumrall goes to Ole Miss, and then that opens up a vacancy that could then lead to DJ Durkin at Auburn. Thank you for putting it together for me.
I'm just saying. All of that could fall into place.
Yeah. I like the idea of going with a person who has done a good job as a coordinator at your place and then did an even better job as the interim and is loved by the fans and the people in the program. But that also is not the qualification, because as much as you are loved and as much as you were the steady hand while the waters were choppy in the middle of the ocean, we're not hiring everybody love everybody.
Right.
We're hiring who's going to win a national title for us. And I don't know if those two things are the same thing.
Yep.
I'm not saying he can't.
Now, beating Alabama certainly would help. They lost at Vanderbilt. That's really the only real game he's gotten to coach. The other one was Mercer. So
I've spoken to a few Alabama fans in my life, and I'm not going to say that those two Alabama fans that I've spoken to speak for all of Alabama fans. They're scared shitless.
They should be. Jordan Hare's haunted. Haunted.
5.5 is a weird number.
It's such a weird number. Such a weird number. And the last 3 meetings, the margin of victory has not gotten to more than 3.
One of those people in my life I want to give a shout out. I sent you in River pictures.
That's a Jordan Hare, not in Tuscaloosa.
Bought a maroon 90s Bronco that he had when he was a kid. That's beaten up and looks exactly like something you might see in Alabama. And he got the license plate RMFTR, which you can fill in the blanks.
Yeah,
roll,
the R and the T and the R are roll, tide, roll.
Roll, mother, effing tide, roll. And I think it's the coolest car I've ever seen. Honestly, as somebody who likes old cars, as you know,
yes,
I respect it.
It's beautiful. You sent me the pictures. It's glorious.
He's scared this weekend.
He's gonna be afraid to take that thing out of the garage Sunday if they don't win.
Or he might take it down out of the garage and just take it off roading and beat the crap out of it a little bit more just to throw off some steam. But I'm really excited about this game. And Andy, I've been thinking a lot about what you said. I picked Bama, you picked Auburn. This one's wild, dude.
This whole weekend's going to be wild. It's going to be so much fun. We have Thanksgiving tomorrow. We have a show for you on Thanksgiving. Our friend Tyler Shoemaker from VEASAN joins us to give us the best bets for the weekend, plus your questions answered. Got some great mailbag questions. One of them, should we use the computers? Should the BCS computers take over for the College Football Playoff Selection Committee? I think I already told you the answer to that earlier
Be
tonight.
afraid of computers. Be afraid of them.
We're going to talk about that in depth tomorrow